The York Region District School Board strives to create and sustain caring and safe school climates that support the social and emotional well-being of all our students and employees. Specifically, the Board Improvement Plan for Student Achievement's Mental Health and Addictions Theory of Action states that if we build knowledge and capacity, develop mentally healthy environments, reduce stigma, and create collaborative care pathways, then we will foster optimal mental health and well-being for all students. The intention of this webinar series is to provide schools with learning for staff and families on issues of substance misuse and addictions to further the work of this board focus area. We hope that they help the caring adults in our school communities to continue supporting students' achievement and well-being, along with reinforcing schools' comprehensive approaches to their school improvement plans. To ensure schools' approaches align with evidence-based practices, please refer to the School Mental Health Decision Support Tool. Now, we're going to hear from members of YouthSpeak talk about their lived experiences.
Hi, my name is Brittany. I've been with YouthSpeak for about 1.5 years now. My childhood and my upbringing was very good, actually. I have one older sister, and both of our parents worked very, very hard. Now, they were divorced. They divorced when I was about 2 years old, but it was completely normal for my sister and I to go back and forth to both my parents' house. When I was about 13, I was living mainly with my mom, and I'd see my dad on every other weekend and on some special nights. In my mom's house, my mom, because she was working so hard and she was basically raising us as a single mother, she put a lot of pressure on my sister and I. Made me feel like, okay, no matter what I do, it's still not good enough for her. And I kind of remember feeling like negative thoughts about myself, feeling overwhelmed. And it was after that time in my life that I really kind of turned around. I wanted to be the perfect student. I wanted to be the perfect friend. I wanted to be the perfect daughter. But the thing about that is there's no such thing as perfect. And that's when that tape in my head started to really turn, and I would just constantly be telling myself, you're not good enough. You're worthless. So in the middle of high school, I started to turn to really negative coping mechanisms. Like on weekends, I would go out with my friends, and because everyone was drinking, I would take it to an extreme. I would drink in excess. So I would get blackout drunk and not remember things. The problems just kept getting worse because I didn't talk about it. I had a great group of friends. I did have my family, but I never opened up about these feelings I was feeling about myself. So things like alcohol, things like self-harm, and even drug use helped me get away from that. So I went off into my first year of university, and unfortunately it wasn't okay. That led me to a party one night. I remember going, and I remember having a lot to drink, and I can remember stumbling upstairs and going up to pass out, but 3 hours later I woke up and I wasn't there anymore. I had 5 severe suicide attempts in the span of 1 year, and I had to be pulled from university. One of my friends actually called my parents because they had no idea this was going on. From there, they kind of forced me into getting help and seeking treatment. I went through it for them and not for myself. Things didn't get better because I wasn't in a place or in a headspace to do that. And that's when I reached, I guess, my defining moment in my life where I was at my last attempt and I realized that I had a choice. One of the best things that I've ever done is realize my self-worth. But unfortunately, it took me hitting rock bottom to get there. Through more community supports, education, things like that, we have been able to get to a place where I've got an amazing relationship with my parents, and I'm personally in a place now where I don't turn to those negative coping mechanisms. Continue to practice a lot of things that I've learned, such as just, you know what, going and doing something I love, and being able to go out there and not be embarrassed that I went through this stuff and show people that it's okay is so empowering to me, and I can't thank YouthSpeak enough for giving me the outlet and the platform to do that.
My name's Brendan. I've been with YouthSpeak now for about 1 year. My story starts when I was about 2 and my brother was 4, and unfortunately my parents got a divorce. I had 2 birthdays, 2 Christmases, 2 of everything, and to me that was completely normal. It wasn't until I started making friends in elementary school and going over to their houses that I met their parents and I saw how their dynamic was, and I started to kind of ask myself, like, what is it about my family that they can't be together? Is it something to do with me? Going through school, I did have like a friend group that I played baseball with, but there was a lot of bullying that I kind of encountered going through that experience. As well as within my family, alcohol was always a problem. I can remember having family dinners and there was a 2 for a beer on the end of the table, and that was kind of like a normal thing. I found a lot of solace in hanging out with my aunt. I remember that she would always take us shopping, or we'd have sleepovers and watch movies, and she just seemed like she was a really great person. She was an awesome support for me and my brother, and sadly at the age of 8 my aunt died by suicide. Again, I felt like I had this strong support in my life that was taken away from me. I remember I started to withdraw from all the activities that I really liked doing. I started really looking for reasons as to how maybe the things that they were saying were right. I started having this very negative self-talk. At the age of 12, I actually reached out for substances. I started out using marijuana and alcohol, and it slowly kind of progressed. Eventually, at the age of 17, I went to my first treatment center. And I didn't really want to do it for myself. I was only really there to appease my family. It was a 4-month treatment center, and afterwards I was able to stay clean for about a year. But then, you know, just with some things that were happening in my life at that time, primarily with relationships, I ended up reaching out for that substance again. So from the time of about 18 to 23, I used substance heavily. I was using much harder drugs like crystal meth and heroin. So it wasn't really until I started getting in trouble with the law and kind of going through that process that I started to really make a change and kind of figure out that maybe this wasn't the life that I wanted to live. So at the age of 23, I went to a 2-year rehab center. And you know, some people say that that's pretty drastic, but to use for 10 years is also very drastic. So I needed something that was going to literally change my life. So that kind of brings me to today. Today I'm 4 years sober, and I'm currently going to school through McMaster University online for addictions counseling, and I also work at the treatment center that I went to.
I think for me is one of the biggest things was I didn't ever feel like with my parents that I had the open door of communication. I didn't ever feel like, because we didn't have a lot of serious talks, we didn't talk about emotions, we didn't talk about those kind of things. So I never felt like I could go to them with what I was feeling or what I was dealing with because I never had that opened for me, or that platform to feel like I could do so.
So I think for me, if I could kind of get across one message, it would be to really try to support the youth in finding their own kind of uniqueness and that path of self-acceptance and what it means to be yourself. I know that for me, I struggled a lot with not being comfortable within my own skin. I tried so badly to be someone that I wasn't, and I kind of innately lost some of my values and the things that were important to me along the way. I tried to fit into this box that I thought I had to be. I think that is empowering. It kind of gives you that grounding to really know who you are as a person and what it is that is important to you.
So I think with both educators and parents, you guys are the adults versus the youth, and you step into those roles of feeling like you need to direct them, teach them, and protect them. But I think to have a good relationship with them, you also have to be honest with them, because as much as they are youth, they are people too, and they respect you more when you are more personal with them, when you talk about other things with them, you ask them about this and that, and have those just lighter conversations with them that aren't about education or aren't about something about a parent-kid role. It's just about having that almost friendship relationship, and I think that makes youth feel a lot more comfortable to share more and open up more when they feel like they've already had those kind of conversations with you. And I think also just opening that door, just letting them know I'm always here to talk about anything with you, and just that non-judgmental space, feeling like there's always that opportunity that they can go over there, and maybe not forcing them into it, but just opening that door for them as an educator or a parent is huge and very helpful. And sometimes just being a support and not giving all the answers all the time, because I think youth just need that validation, just to understand it's okay to have these feelings, it's okay to be going through different things, because that's all a part of life. And just knowing that they have that support there, but not always giving them, okay, well, this is what you need to do to make it better, because you know what, not everyone has the same path and not everyone needs the same thing. So maybe you think you know what's right, but that might not be right for the youth. So I think it's just supporting them and validating them sometimes, and not always feeling like you have to give them a fix or an answer or a solution to the problem, because I think educators and parents, they really want to do that because they so much want to help them, but sometimes it's allowing that youth to kind of figure it out and just being a support rather than answer, I guess I would say.
I think similar to like what Brittany was saying, I would add just kind of keeping the youth's frame of reference in mind, and that kind of perception is really key. I know like that really worked for me is when I had teachers or family members who were able to see the problem through my eyes. That really made me feel open and able to communicate that, because you know, sometimes traumas and crisis, for one person it's not a big deal and the other person is really struggling through that. So being able to really see that, okay, maybe this person is going through something, I can help them. And I guess also in just saying that, having that open communication to kind of look underneath like maybe some negative attitudes that they're displaying, because maybe those are just a front to kind of keep you at bay, right? So I would kind of maybe say to persevere through that.
The York Region District School Board would like to thank YouthSpeak for their continued commitment to supporting student achievement and well-being through their work with the Substance Misuse Working Group and Webinar Series. YouthSpeak is also an active member of our York Region schools, offering these in-school services. Furthermore, YouthSpeak provides additional supports and resources for youth and families, including the following. Please speak to your school principal for more details about the in-school services. And for more information about YouthSpeak, visit their website at youthspeak.ca. For additional resources on the Substance Misuse Webinar Series, please visit the Caring and Safe Schools portal on the board website. We thank you for your continued commitment as we all work to create a caring, safe, and inclusive environment for students and staff in the York Region District School Board.